Hello everybody, this is Katrina with NEMSA News for You. I'm sorry that I haven't made a video in a while, but here I am. What I wanted to talk about this video was the new CBA TA that we did in negotiations. We do have an agreement with Paramedics Plus. It is a tentative agreement on all the articles of the CBA. The voting for this is going to be starting on Thursday, 7/12/2012 at 10 a.m. to Sunday, 7/15/2012 and ending at 6 p.m. What you do is you go into the employment supervisor's office and there's going to be a ballot box, a ballot, and instructions. Please follow the instructions that come with the ballot so we can ensure that everybody who votes, the vote can be counted. So, some of the things about this CBA, I'm going to talk about some of the positives. We have new criteria for the C7s. You need to, Paramedics Plus will need to give us 2 C7s per 12-hour shift. There's nothing new there. The new thing, though, is they have to do it within the first 8 hours and the last 4 hours of your shift. And they can't do it 2 hours before or 2 hours, 2 hours when the shift starts, within the first 2 hours, or within the last 2 hours of the shift. So it's a very narrow window that they need to give us our meal breaks. In addition, let's say you're on your meal break for 10 minutes and you get pulled from it. They have to, in order for that meal break to count, they need to give you another full 30 minutes the next time around. They can't say, okay, you have 20 minutes of your C7 left. They have to give you a full half hour. If you pass the 15-minute mark and you get pulled from your C7, so it could be 16 minutes into it, then they can give you an additional 15 minutes later. They can't say, okay, we're going to, if they pulled you 5 minutes before your shift, they can't, or before your C7, they can't say, well, we're going to give you 5 minutes right now. It's in 15-minute increments. So that's a pretty big bonus for us. Excuse me, to have that language actually written down instead of it just being, how things are run. Another thing are the shift trades and giveaways. We have 24 hours before your shift for a shift trade or a giveaway, and we get 6 giveaways a month with this new contract. And the extra 2 was to make up for the other thing that we have are the shift trades and giveaways. There's now 6 giveaways a month, and you have to do trades or giveaways 24 hours prior to the shift starting. The reason why we have 6 now is because the company didn't want to honor the open trades. So now we have 6 giveaways, which is a big plus. It'll make it much easier to get days off. Speaking of days off, there's a new PTO chart. The PTO chart, you're going to accrue. It's broken down by different shift types. So whatever you accrue now and the rate that you accrue it, you compare it to that new chart, which I'm hoping to get up on here. And if you're going to accrue whichever amount is more. So if you already get 10 hours and the chart says that you're supposed to get 8 hours, you're still going to accrue 10. With PTO, we have caps now again. For people who aren't familiar with the caps, what it is there are slots that people can put in for PTO. We have 5 medics, 4 EMTs, 1 VST, and 1 administrator, or 1 admin. So what it is let's say you think, okay, I want next Wednesday off. So you can go and you can take a look at the cap book and scheduling, and if it's empty and there's slots available, you can say, I'm going to take PTO on this Wednesday, as long as it's in advance, 24 hours in advance. And if you have PTO on the books, then it'll automatically be granted. In addition, for the pre-scheduled PTO, if you submit PTO greater than 72 hours prior to the shift starts, scheduling has 48 hours to get back to you on whether it's approved or denied. Sorry, somebody woke up from their nap. So I was talking about PTO. So scheduling has 24 hours to get back to you whether your PTO is approved or denied. If you don't hear from them within the first 48 hours after you've submitted it, then your PTO is going to be automatically approved. So that's a big bonus in us trying to get our PTO. The other thing that is changed that I think is great and for the better is the attendance policy. I know that Paramedics Plus attendance policy is very frustrating, especially for people who don't have attendance issues, but seeing those points on your record is very frustrating. So what they've done and what they've agreed to is if you bring in a doctor's note, you're going to get half a point removed. Find that ball. That's awesome. If you have perfect attendance for a calendar month, you're going to get half a point removed. So the way that works is, let's say you are late. Let's say you're late to work on March 1st. You have to complete the month of March and the entire month of April have no attendance points. Then you'll get half a point removed. So it goes by the next calendar month since the occurrence. And then that'll continue. So if you're not later or absent on April, you get half a point removed. If you're not later absent in May, you get half a point removed. And you go all the way until you get back down to 0. They will not allow you to accrue negative points, because if you get to the point where you would have negative points, you don't have an attendance policy. So that was their rationale behind it. Also, there was a line that I wanted to let everybody know. There was a bunch of questions about it. In 12.3D, it says something to the effect of, no, I should probably do it. I wanted to talk about something that everyone was having questions about, and that was an attendance policy 12.3D. It reads, once an employee's request for PTO is approved, it cannot be canceled for reasons other than a major emergency. So that means that the company can't cancel your PTO. You can cancel your PTO. You can say, oh, I didn't need to work that day, or I want to work that day. I'm going to cancel it and work. They would much rather pay you to come to work than to pay you to sit at home. So the other thing are the holidays. We did lose the day after Thanksgiving. That was moved over to Veterans Day. And we actually gained half a day, and that is Christmas Eve. So that's for the strike people. If your shift starts between 1500 and 2359, you're going to get holiday pay for your entire shift. So the reasoning behind that was Christmas Eve is usually something where people spend with their families at night. So if you work during the day, then you're more than likely going to be able to go home and spend time with your family. Whereas people who are working strikes at night, they're going to get holiday pay. Also, the other thing is the uniforms. The nice thing about this contract is they got rid of all the bling, all the stuff. So the only thing that's required is that you have your Paramedics Plus ID badge, which is something that's required by the county. But the bonus to that is it's going to be first name and last initial. So that, I think, is a huge win, because I know I don't like wearing all that stuff on my collar and shoulders. The other thing is the steps. It sounds a little bit confusing, but we added 2 steps to the front and 1 step at the end. So currently, if you are a step 1 medic, EMT, VST, or office personnel, you get paid X amount of dollars. So what they've done is, for the people who aren't even hired yet, when you first get hired, you're going to make 8% less than the current step 1 employee. And then your step 2 will be 4% less. And then by the time you're step 3, it'll be our current step 1 position. And they've added another top step, and that's a 4% raise. And that's for 11 to 12 years of service. So let's say you've been here for 13 years. If this contract gets ratified, you will automatically go to the top step. And then if you were only here for 11 years, then when your 12th year would come, then you would be top step. Or correction, if you were 10 years, then you would go to your top step when you hit your 11th year. The good thing about this also is Paramedics Plus wanted to make everything the same company-wide. And they say in their other operations, if you're at a top step, you don't get a raise every year, especially if we don't get a COLA. So what they're doing is, if you're at your top step, every year on your anniversary, you're going to get a 4% bonus. I know it's not the same as a raise, but at least it's extra money. As far as the COLAs are concerned, they did not want to give us a COLA. Their reasoning was because when they came to this county, their financial situation is still kind of all over the place. They equated it, or someone explained it to me, it's like buying a new house. When you buy a new house, you have your set amounts in your mind. I'm going to pay this for mortgage, I'm going to pay this for water, I'm going to pay this for electricity. And when you move into the house, you realize that there's no insulation and it's costing you twice as much to heat the place, or maybe you didn't realize that the plants were drought resistant and it's not taking as much water as you needed. So they're asking us to give them time. They need some solid answers on what their future projections are going to be, and they were unwilling to give us COLAs based on hypothetical projections. I know that this isn't our problem. Their financial issues aren't our problem, but they asked us if they can give them some time, which is why this contract is only a year long. So the good thing about this is we lock in all these good things. The uniform allowance, the attendance policy, we get to lock all those down right now. And then next year when we go back to negotiations, we're definitely going to be fighting for COLAs. And we'll have let me think. I could just end it right there. So pretty much that's it. If you have any questions, please contact me, katrinakover@gmail.com. You can also email Elise at alcochiefs@gmail.com. You can also go on the webpage, on the Alco Facebook page, and post your questions there. Please, if you have any questions or complaints about this contract, just ask one of us. Ask one of the shop stewards, or send us an email or a message on Facebook. I am more than willing to talk to you about the contracts and the pros and the cons. Some of the things that are a negative is, one is the uniform allowance. They decided to take away the automatic payment of the uniform, not uniform allowance, the cleaning allowance. So you'll no longer see those, I can't remember, like $13. What they are willing to do is, if you go and get your uniforms laundered or dry cleaned, to bring in the receipt, and they'll pay you $15 a pay period. For part-timers, it's $7.50 a pay period. So in essence, they will pay us, but it's just not going to be automatic. You'll need to bring in receipts. The other thing, really, that's the big thing. There's so many good things about this contract that outweigh the bad. The thing about voting no on this is, if the majority wins on a no on this, it means that we strike, pretty much. You can't say, I agree to this contract except for this part, and this part. You have to say yes to all of it, or yes to no of that. So, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. It's not a bother at all to explain the CBA or to get into arguments about it. So thank you very much for your guys' time. I hope you have a wonderful day, and take care of yourself and take care of each other. Be safe out there.